Afghanistan has always been a land wrapped in mystery. For centuries, its name has been tied not only to war and conquest, but also to whispered legends, strange sightings, and stories that blur the line between history and myth. Long before modern armies arrived with advanced weapons and surveillance technology, travelers and warriors spoke of inexplicable encounters in its deserts and mountains, events that could not be explained by logic alone. This rugged country, carved by jagged mountain ranges and endless stretches of arid wasteland, has earned a chilling title, the Graveyard of Empires. Time and again, powerful nations marched their armies into this unforgiving terrain, confident in their superiority, only to withdraw years later defeated, broken, and haunted by what they left behind. From ancient Persian invasions to British campaigns in the 19th century, and later the Soviet occupation, Afghanistan has consumed soldiers and ambitions alike. Even in the rare moments between foreign invasions, peace was fleeting. Civil wars tore through the land, followed by brutal regimes that reshaped daily life with fear and violence. In the mid-1990s, Pashtun tribes from Kandahar united to form what became known as the Taliban. Their rapid rise saw them take control of nearly 90% of the country, leaving only small pockets of resistance in the northeast. After the attacks of September 11, 2001, Afghanistan once again became the focus of global military attention. The Taliban's refusal to surrender Osama bin Laden triggered yet another invasion, this time led by the United States and supported by an international coalition. Forward operating bases appeared across deserts and valleys, and foreign troops began long deployments in some of the harshest conditions on Earth. Yet according to many American soldiers who returned home, the dangers they faced were not limited to ambushes, roadside bombs, or enemy fire. Some claimed they encountered something far stranger, something that did not carry guns, wear uniforms, or follow the rules of human warfare. They spoke of unseen attackers, impossible figures, and moments of pure terror that struck without warning. These were not enemies that could be tracked by thermal scopes or identified through night vision goggles. And in several cases, these encounters were shared by multiple witnesses, men trained to observe, react, and survive. One such incident reportedly took place in 2004. Elements of the U.S. Army's 3rd Infantry Brigade were deployed near Mosul when Diamondback Forward Operating Base came under sudden intrusion. During a routine patrol, 3 soldiers riding in a Humvee surprised a group of individuals attempting to scale the perimeter wall. The soldiers immediately dismounted and opened fire. One intruder was killed, while the others fled back over the metal fencing. As the Americans cautiously approached the body, something deeply unsettling occurred. One of the men noticed what appeared to be smoke slowly pouring from the dead intruder's mouth. At first, it seemed like a trick of the light, or perhaps dust rising from the ground. But the smoke did not fade. Instead, it thickened, darkened, and began to take shape. The soldiers froze as the black vapor rose upward, forming what looked disturbingly like a humanoid figure. For a brief, horrifying moment, the entity appeared to look directly at them. Witnesses later described glowing red eyes and a wide, unnatural mouth. Then, just as suddenly as it had formed, the shape turned away and dissolved into the night air. All 3 soldiers later gave the same account. None could fully explain what they had seen. What remained with them, however, was an overwhelming sense of dread, a fear deeper than anything they had experienced in combat. By 2008, U.S. operations had pushed deep into Helmand Province, a region known for fierce resistance and ancient ruins buried beneath sand and time. Several new forward operating bases were established, including one known as Camp Hassan Abad. Along its perimeter stood an observation post that soon earned a reputation among the Marines stationed there. The position was simply called The Rock. It was built atop the remains of an ancient mud brick fort, rising nearly 20 feet above the surrounding ground. While fortifying the position, Marines uncovered old relics, fragments of bones, and even abandoned foreign military equipment, items that did not belong to any modern Afghan force. Almost immediately, rumors began to spread. Some believed a group of Soviet soldiers had been captured and executed at the site decades earlier during the Russian invasion. their bodies buried within the ruins. Within days of taking over the post, strange incidents began. Radios with fully charged batteries would die within minutes. Flashlights flickered and went dark. Cleaned and inspected weapons jammed without explanation. Oddly, these malfunctions stopped the moment the sentries returned inside the base perimeter. Soon, younger Marines started requesting reassignment. At night, they reported hearing footsteps crunching on gravel, despite no one being there. Others spoke of low moans, faint whispers, and the uneasy feeling of being watched. One non-commissioned officer refused to return to the post after claiming that while standing alone, he heard someone cough behind him, then whisper a phrase in Russian directly into his ear. And that was only the beginning. As days turned into weeks at Camp Hassanabad, the situation at the rock grew steadily worse. What had begun as strange sounds and equipment failures soon escalated into something far more disturbing. Marines started reporting physical sensations. Sharp pains, sudden shoves, and the feeling of invisible hands brushing past them in the darkness. Command responded by doubling the number of sentries posted at the observation point. The logic was simple. If fear was playing tricks on their minds, no one would be alone long enough for imagination to take over. But the increased manpower only produced more witnesses. Late at night, Marines stationed at the rock began noticing strange lights moving across the surrounding terrain. Small glowing orbs, often described as pale blue, would drift silently toward the post, hovering just beyond arm's reach before shooting away at incredible speed, vanishing into the darkness. Thermal cameras were brought in to investigate. The devices detected nothing. No heat signatures. No movement. No explanation. Despite repeated sightings, morning inspections revealed no footprints, no disturbed gravel, and no physical evidence that anything had been there at all. One evening, a Marine scanning the horizon noticed a lone figure standing motionless against the night sky. The silhouette appeared human, upright, broad-shouldered, fists clenched at its sides. The sentry felt an intense unease, a sickening certainty that the figure was watching him. He raised his night vision goggles. The figure vanished instantly. Moments later, another Marine reported seeing a dark shape in the distance, this time waving. When he activated his night vision goggles, the figure disappeared. When he lowered them, it was back, closer than before. The Marines switched frantically between night vision and thermal imaging. Each time, the figure vanished, only to reappear nearer once the devices were lowered. At roughly 20 feet away, panic took over. The sentry fired a signal flare into the sky and raised his rifle, prepared to shoot. Advancing cautiously, he found nothing ahead of him. Then a whisper brushed past his ear. Before he could react, a violent blow slammed into his ribs, knocking him flat onto the ground. Terrified and gasping for breath, the Marine scrambled back toward the base, weapon raised, and immediately requested a transfer. He never returned to the rock. The events at Hassanabad were not isolated. Similar reports came from Marines stationed at Forward Operating Base Salerno in southeastern Afghanistan. One of their observation points overlooked an old Afghan graveyard flanked by two crumbling stone towers. Night after night, sentries described seeing the same apparition, a young Afghan girl. She never appeared on thermal imaging. She made no sound when she moved. Instead, she would materialize beside the guards, giggling softly before fading away as suddenly as she appeared. As unsettling as these encounters were, they paled in comparison to what happened next. An 8-man Special Forces team was deployed deep into Afghanistan's Central Highlands, tasked with capturing a high-value target hiding in a remote mountain village. For 2 days, the team observed the area without incident. Then, without warning, their equipment began to fail. Radios cut out. Backup systems refused to function. On the second night, Command ordered a temporary withdrawal so communications could be re-established. As the team moved away from the village, they began to hear it. A low humming sound, barely audible at first, slowly rising in pitch and volume until it became unbearable. The vibration seemed to press into their skulls, disorienting them completely. They could not communicate. They could barely stand. Forced to dig in, the soldiers waited in silence until the sound abruptly stopped. That was when one of the lookouts saw something moving. A pale, white shape drifted toward their position through the trees. Through night vision goggles, the soldiers saw what appeared to be an elderly Afghan man dressed in flowing white robes. But something was terribly wrong. The figure gave off no heat signature. Its eyes glowed a deep, unnatural red. It did not walk, it glided, passing effortlessly through rocks and branches. As it drew closer, one of its arms detached, falling to the ground. The figure paused, picked up the limb, and pressed it back against its body, where it melted seamlessly into place. Then it continued forward. Suddenly, lights flared in the village below. Voices shouted in alarm. The figure stopped as if considering this disturbance, then slowly turned and drifted back toward the village. Assuming Taliban fighters were responding to the strange humming sound, the Special Forces team abandoned their position and withdrew under cover of darkness. 2 days later, a heavily armed infantry unit returned to the village. What they found was beyond comprehension. The target and his entire entourage had been slaughtered. Bodies were dismembered, hacked apart, reduced to torn flesh and shattered bone. Weapons lay scattered nearby, unfired, untouched. There were no signs of a conventional attack. When the Special Forces team heard the report, they did not need further explanation. They already knew what had passed through that village. Many of the stories shared by soldiers returning from Afghanistan are easy to dismiss. Exhaustion, fear, and prolonged exposure to combat can play cruel tricks on the human mind. In high-stress environments, memories blur, shadows become threats, and the imagination fills gaps that logic cannot. But one incident stands apart. An encounter so violent, so physical, and so thoroughly witnessed that dismissing it becomes far more difficult. This event is said to have taken place in 2002, in the vast emptiness of the Kandahar Desert. A U.S. infantry patrol failed to return from a routine mission. When repeated attempts to establish contact were unsuccessful, command assumed the worst. A Special Forces unit was deployed to locate the missing soldiers and determine what had happened to them. 4 days, the team searched the area near the patrol's last known position. Eventually, they noticed a narrow trail leading toward the mountains. Along the path, they began to find broken military equipment. Damaged radios, torn backpacks, shattered weapons. Some of the gear was stained with blood. As they moved forward, spent shell casings appeared in increasing numbers, scattered across the ground as if the missing soldiers had made a desperate last stand. The trail ended at a series of cave entrances opening onto a barren plateau. That was where they found the bodies. Shredded uniforms, broken bones, remains scattered across the rocks. The team spread out, securing the area, knowing instinctively that whatever had done this might still be nearby. They were right. Without warning, something surged from one of the cave mouths. A crude wooden spear flew through the air with impossible force, punching straight through a soldier's body armor and killing him instantly. Then the creature revealed itself. Standing nearly 13 feet tall, it was covered in animal skins. Shaggy red hair hung from its massive frame, and a thick beard framed a face twisted with rage. As it charged forward to retrieve its spear, the ground seemed to shake beneath its weight. Shock turned into fury. The Special Forces team opened fire. For nearly 30 seconds, they unleashed everything they had, round after round into the creature's face and chest. They reloaded again and again until, finally, the giant collapsed, its body twitching before going completely still. As some of the men recovered what they could of their fallen comrades, others examined the creature more closely. It had 6 fingers on each hand, 6 toes on each foot. Its teeth were sharpened to points. Crude weapons made from unknown bones were strapped to its body, along with additional animal hides. The thing was not human, but it was no animal either. What truly separates this account from every other is what happened next. The body weighed more than 500 kilograms and required extraordinary effort to load into a transport helicopter. Later, when it was flown back to the United States aboard a cargo aircraft, the stench was reportedly so overwhelming that it nearly incapacitated the flight crew. Multiple personnel, from infantrymen to aircrew, were involved in the recovery. Too many witnesses. Too much physical evidence. The description of the Kandahar Giant bears an unsettling resemblance to the Nephilim, ancient beings mentioned in early biblical texts. These entities were described as giants, offspring of fallen angels and human women, warriors of immense strength who once roamed the earth. Other encounters described by soldiers align eerily well with Djinn, beings from Islamic tradition said to be formed from smokeless fire. Djinn are often depicted as shapeless entities capable of taking human-like forms, known for mischief, deception, and interference in human affairs. Witnesses described smoke-like humanoids, red glowing eyes, entities unseen by thermal imaging. The similarities are difficult to ignore. Afghanistan's geography may offer a clue. Endless deserts, impassable mountain ranges, and vast cave systems create the perfect refuge for beings long believed to be extinct or mythical. It is entirely possible that creatures forced into hiding by the advance of civilization survived only in the most isolated regions of the world. And only when modern warfare pushed humans into those forgotten places did contact occur. These encounters, when they happened, were brief, violent, deadly. Governments, including that of the United States, have never publicly acknowledged any involvement in paranormal incidents. Official silence serves a purpose: discredit the stories, discourage investigation, and allow classified reviews to take place behind closed doors. One soldier can be dismissed, but dozens of matching accounts across different units, locations, and years are far harder to erase. As humanity continues to explore the unknown corners of the planet, scientists regularly discover new species in oceans and jungles once thought empty. If life can hide there for centuries, why not in the wild mountains of Afghanistan? Perhaps one day the truth will surface. Until then, these stories remain, whispered among veterans, buried in classified reports, and etched into the memories of those who saw something they were never meant to see. Maybe the legends were never legends at all.